Let's jump right
Dr. Dan
into it.
Stock, 5777 West 700 North McCordsville, Indiana. To address your comment about, gee, it's hard to believe we're 18 months into this and still having a problem, and I would suggest the reason we still have a problem is because we're doing things that are not useful, and we're getting our sources of information from the Indiana State Board of Health and the CDC, who actually don't bother to read science before they do them.
CDC doesn't read science.
I'm actually a functional family medicine physician. That means I am specially trained in immunology and inflammation regulation. And everything being recommended by the CDC and the State Board of Health is actually contrary to all the rules of science.
Now, why would that be?
So things you should know about coronavirus and all other respiratory viruses, they are spread by aerosol particles, which are small enough to go through every mask. By the way, the literature that supports all of that is in a flash drive that we presented to you. It's been given to the Secretary. As a matter of fact, it quotes at least 3 studies sponsored by the NIH to that exact fact, even though the CDC and the NIH have chosen to ignore the very science that they paid to have done.
You know one thing, but yet and still they do another. Why is that, my vaccinated friends?
That is why you keep struggling with this, is because you cannot make these viruses go away. The natural history of all respiratory viruses is that they circulate all year long, waiting for the immune system to get sick through the winter or become deranged, as has happened recently with these vaccines, and then they cause symptomatic disease.
I recently explained this to a vaccinated friend, that this virus is similar to the regular virus that of the past, about how it spreads around through winter, spring, summer, and fall. Same thing.
Because they cannot be filtered out and they have animal reservoirs, and this is a very important point, no one can make this virus go away. The CDC has managed to convince everybody that we can handle this like we did smallpox, where we could make a virus go away. Smallpox had no animal reservoirs. The only thing it learned to infect was humans. That's why we were able to make that virus go away. That will not happen with this any more than it will with influenza, the common cold, respiratory syncytial virus, adenoviral respiratory syndromes, or anything else that has animal reservoirs. So the reason you can't do this is because you're trying to do something which has already been tried and can't be done.
It cannot be done.
Equally important is that vaccination changes none of this, especially with this vaccine.
It changes nothing, absolutely nothing.
And I would hope this board would start asking itself, before it considers taking the advice of the CDC, the NIH, and the State Board of Health, why we are doing things about this that we didn't do for the common cold, influenza, or respiratory syncytial virus.
Well, some of us was paying attention to the swine flu and the bird flu and how they reacted to those viruses.
And then ask yourself, why is a vaccine that is supposedly so effective having a breakout in the middle of the summer when respiratory viral syndromes don't do that?
Booyaka!
And to help you understand that, you need to know the condition that is called antibody-mediated viral enhancement. That is a condition done when vaccines work wrong, as they did in every coronavirus study done in animals on coronaviruses after the SARS outbreak, and done in respiratory syncytial virus, where a vaccine used in a vulnerable individual done the wrong way, which cannot be done right for a respiratory virus which has a very low pathogenicity rate, causes the immune system to actually fight the virus wrong and let the virus become worse than it would with native infection.
So to all my VF friends, you all are walking time bombs to give it to us who actually works out, take care of ourselves, our cardio, our body, our mind, and things of that nature, because we believe in keeping our temples clean. So once you done put something in you that wasn't already in you, now you can spread it to all those people that wouldn't have never came in contact with it if you didn't go get that and then come around me.
And that is why you are seeing an outbreak right now. And in fact, in that flash drive you're going to have coming to you and in the emails with 6 Extra will be a study showing that 75% of people who had COVID-19 positive symptom cases in Barnstable, Massachusetts outbreak were fully vaccinated.
Need I repeat, fully vaccinated?
Therefore, there is no reason for treating any person vaccinated any differently than any person unvaccinated. You should also know that no vaccine, even the ones I support and would give to myself and my children, ever stops infection.
None of them stops infection. I don't know where my VF friends are getting their information from, how they put just trust in this government system that has given people smallpox and just tampered with the men and women of society with these shots and diseases and viruses and things of that nature. I don't understand how y'all now can turn around and put y'all trust in this system. Not even look into it. Not even look into people like me when we spread certain things and say certain things to y'all. It's to spark your mind to go in and look into things. But what I see is, yeah, it's the CNN, the MSNBC, those sort of, you sit and you look at that and you think that everything they saying is it came down from God himself. When actually there is an agenda. Where actually they are telling you one thing and doing something completely different. So I hope people just wake up, man.
In 2014, there was outbreak of mumps in the National Hockey League. The only people who came down with symptoms were the people who were unvaccinated or unknown vaccine status. Boy, that sounds like a great argument for vaccines. But a question that you should ask yourself, knowing that half of the people who came down with symptomatic disease had no contact with an unvaccinated or unknown vaccine status individual, where did they get the disease?
Take a second to think. Please just take a second to think. How did these people get infected? How? They've been vaccinated. They wasn't around people that was carrying it, or unvaccinated people rather. How did they get it?
And the answer was from the vaccinated individuals. No vaccine prevents you from getting infection. You get infected, you shed pathogen. This is especially true of viral respiratory pathogens. You just don't get symptomatic from it. So
you spread it. You won't show any symptoms, but you will continue to spread it throughout the community, your household, work, everywhere. But see, they won't tell y'all that. They'll say, oh, it's the states where everybody haven't been, vaccinated. Come on. And people are on Facebook arguing this, believing in this, when there's no proof of that.
You cannot stop spread. You cannot make these numbers that you've planned on get better by doing any of the things you're doing, because that is the nature of viral respiratory pathogens. And you can't prevent it with a vaccine because they don't do the very thing you're wanting them to do.
Why do y'all trust in government and not God? I kid you not. I don't get it. It's as if you say you believe in God, but then you don't understand that he put everything here for you to heal yourself with and for you to maintain a healthy lifestyle. He already knew all of this. The God that I thought some people serve already knew that this was going to happen. Before the foundations of the earth, he already knew this day, in this hour, in this age, what would be going on. He already had it planned and prepared for those that believe in him, that truly believe in him.
And you will be chasing this the remainder of your life until you recognize that the Center for Disease Control and the Indiana State Board of Health are giving you very bad scientific guidance. And instead, read the articles that are going to come on the email and are on this flash drive, and listen to the people in this audience here tonight who actually have recognized the advice they are getting from the CDC and the NIH is counterfactual.
And this is exactly why I don't argue, debate, or go back and forth with anybody on this topic.
And that's why you're still fighting this with this vaccine that supposedly was going to make all of this go away, but has suddenly managed to make an outbreak of COVID-19 develop in the middle of the summer when vitamin D levels are at their highest. By the way, the other thing that would be necessary any vaccine restriction to be considered is if there were no other treatment available. And I can tell you, having treated over 15 COVID-19 patients, that between active loading with vitamin D, ivermectin, and zinc, that there is not a single person who has come anywhere near the hospital. And we already have studies that show that if you achieve a 25 hydroxyvitamin D level greater than 55, your risk of COVID-19 death will drop down to 1/4 of the population.
But hey, what do I know? All praises to the Most High.
Average for the United States. And there are active treatment trials included on that flash drive that show the same is true. So if you were going to discriminate based upon vaccine, you should also discriminate based upon 25 hydroxyvitamin D level, zinc taste test response, and probably previous infection, since there are also studies on that flash drive that show that people who have recovered from COVID-19 infection actually get no benefit from vaccination at all, no reduction in symptoms, no reduction in hospitalization, and suffer 2 to 4 times the rate of side effects if they are subsequently vaccinated.
We got people out here telling their elderly loved ones to get vaccinated, when the only thing you're doing is making them a ticking time bomb. If they don't get infected immediately, Sooner or later, that virus will kick in. And a lot of y'all need to study viruses. Y'all have to have some sort of knowledge of viruses and how they work. Because the things I'm hearing out of people's mouth telling, their loved one, the elderly, to go get the shot, go get the shot. This is the only way to protect yourself. Believers in Christ now, this is the only way to protect yourself. And it's not. You're actually putting the disease in them so they can either die from it, get sick, and spread it to other people. That's it. It's not that difficult to understand.
Therefore, the policies that you are basing on are totally counterfactual. I don't blame this board for that because I know you aren't scientists and you've thought it was reasonable to listen to the CDC, NIH, and the Indiana State Board of Health. But I would encourage that instead you listen to the people out here in this audience and read what's on that data drive. And if anybody here in this board has any questions about anything on that, I will happily come back and sit with you individually if you would like to explain the science behind this. And if you're worried about being sued by somebody because you don't follow the guidance of the CDC and the NIH, I will tell you have a free pro bono expert testimony at your disposal. I will testify in defense of this board, turning down all these recommendations for free at any time in any court. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's dope. That's straight up dope. You can't argue with facts. The facts are facts. And people will try to argue with it. They will try and change the truth, but the truth will always remain the same. You can't change the truth. You can try, but nah, it don't work that way. That's why you should render unto Caesar what is Caesar's, and to the Most High, the Most High. And my body is to the Most High. So I can't just put anything, a pathogen, I have no idea what is in it. Besides the fact of, if I look at their history and what they have done to society, that it can't be good for you. They have never offered anything that was good for the people to inject inside of them, regardless of what you think. Oh, we got the smallpox, or we got this type of disease and that type of cure vaccine for the chicken pox. Where did these come up? Where did these come from? Where did these diseases and these viruses stem from? And people not looking at that. They're not doing the history and understanding that, oh, these was created in a laboratory. Oh, these are designed to give you shingles when you're in your 50s. Like, people don't really understand. Nothing is designed. This wasn't designed to heal you, to treat you. They have an agenda, and it's to get rid of you.